In today's market review, we're going to look at the apartment condo market. We're talking about low-rise and high-rise apartment condominiums downtown and all around the city.
To make our stats a little bit more accurate, we're going to divide the city into different quadrants. We're going to look at the northeast section first, the northwest section. The southwest section, what we're talking about is Springbank, Discovery, Aspen, those areas. The deep south, the southwest and the southeast. And inner city. Okay, so we're going to start with the northeast. Okay, so in the month of February, we had 27 sold apartment-style condominiums in that month, and opposed to last month we had 19. And when we look at the average sale prices, we're looking at the average about $209,000, and those were 846 square feet. Now, the average price per square foot was $255. Now, the median, which is always important to look at, is where most buyers are buying. That is at $264 a square foot on average, which is a little bit higher. And the price is a little bit higher at $218, which is kind of ironic, you might think. Now, that's actually down from January. People actually paid more money in January of 2014 than they paid in February. So the prices actually were less at this particular time. Quite an interesting scenario for apartment-style condominiums. Now, if we compare to last year, we're looking at an average sale price of $175,000, and there was 14 sales in the period, and there was the average sale price was $221, and the median price was $223. It also took 48 days to sell one of these apartment-style condominiums, and those were all around 804 square feet, but the median was 835. Not very much of a change there. So if we look at how we would this compare to the supply on our properties, what we have 39 active listings, and of course if last month we sold 27, then we have a little bit more than a month's supply. So, and those that we have left are priced at $282 a foot. Now that's quite a bit higher than the average list price that the properties that did sell. So that means that they're about $20 a foot higher, and those asking prices are at $225 when the average asking price for the properties that sold was $215. Having said that, the median price was $224, and the median list price of what sold was $229, which means that it's pretty close when you think about the list and the ask prices, which means that the asking prices are fairly reasonable, in comparison. Okay, so now we're going to move to the northwest section of the city. So in the northwest, we had 38 sold listings in the month of February. And of those listings, there were on average about 889 square feet, and those were sold at $268.65 with an average sale price per square foot of $304, as opposed to last month in January when they actually sold for quite a bit less, $15 a square foot less from January to February. Now, if you look at last month, this is something that's notable, is that our high sale, which would have increased the average last month, didn't increase it. That's because oftentimes what happens is that the higher priced properties often sell for less money per square foot, as you can see here. So they don't really influence the price per square foot. That's why I like to look at the price per square foot number more than the average sale price, because it might only mean that one or a few particular homes sold for higher prices, increasing the average sale price. In this particular case, that didn't happen. So if we look at and want to compare it to last year, we can see also that the average price was $279 a square foot, and this year, of course, is $304 as a sales price. So market is definitely up from last year, and of course, last year we had 33 sales. This year we had 38 sales in the same month, meaning that the sales are up. Having said that, it's very, very similar sales. I mean, only having an extra 5 sales doesn't mean that there's a big boom in the Northwest. But the sales did happen much faster. So the average days on market for what did sell was 19 days on market as opposed to last year at 46, and of course January at 40 days on market. So if we want to compare what we actually have available, there's 55 active listings currently available in the market. We have a little bit more than a month's supply. Now when you look at what inventory is left, the list price on average is $276, and the list price on average for February sales was $272, which means it's fairly close, and that would mean that of course that would mean that these properties may sell. Also, that the average square footage was 876 for what's available and 889 for what actually sold. So people bought the little bit larger size condos, but the list price per square foot is actually $321, and the sales price per square foot was $304. So what that means is that what's currently left on the market is the higher priced inventory, and of course that is always the case. Usually it moves last. So it wasn't even the bigger units. So it seems as though we've got some lower square footage units that are priced a little bit higher. Now, when we looked at where most people are buying, this price was $265 and $320, and that is actually also higher than the median price of what's sold, the asking price. So those people that are on the market are priced a little bit higher than the market. So now we're going to move on to the southwest section of the market, not the deep southwest, but everything is down as far as Discovery and everything west of Sarcee, which means that it's not considered the inner city. Now when we look at the area in the southwest, the apartment condo sales was 23 sales, and as you can see, last month only 12, so more than almost double. And when you look at the average price, last month we had an average price of $293 a square foot, and now we got $311 this particular month. And it wasn't because we actually had a higher sale, because the highest sale in January was $395, which should have brought the market average up. So the market average up was actually, for sale prices, was $291, and the average this month is $290. So yes, it was a little bit higher, but the average price per square foot was lower. And this is more indicative, the average price per square foot, of what's really happening in the market. People in January were getting higher prices per square foot for their units. So, and the average size was like $929 and $997. A little bit smaller units selling in the last month, according to January. So we also had 22 days on market, which was a very, very quick average compared to 39 in January. Now, if we want to compare that to last year, 19 sold in February of last year, so we're up a little bit, not a lot, but of last year, we actually had an average sale price of, well, what we at here? We're at $278, and this year $290. So, and the average sale price was more like what we saw in January at $295 last year at the same time, and we're up this year to $311. So, of course, these numbers are a little bit close, but we had an average days on market last year in February of 55 days, which means the market's going quite a bit quicker than it was before. Now, when we look at where most people were buying at $301 a foot, and they were average of them was $266 in the sales price. So if we want to compare and see what was available to buy, we now have 53 available listings, so that's accounting for a little bit more than 2 months supply on the market. So there's a little bit extra supply up there, and of that market, there's 331,000 is the average list, and those are bigger units, and they're priced also higher than where the sales were at $311, because their average list price per square foot was $324. So quite a bit higher prices to where the actual average sales were. But when we look at the actual list prices, the list prices to have success and sell these properties was $294 on average, and there's $331 and $329, which means that what's remaining on the market is higher priced than where the buyers are really, what they're paying. Now we're going to talk about the deep south. We're going to include areas like Silverado, Cranston, Auburn Bay, all of these areas, Copperfield, and these all areas seem to have a little bit of parity as far as how they compete with each other. And we're going to do an overall average on this area. Now, looking at the Deep South, we had 49 listings sell in for apartment condos in February, and of those, we had average sale price per square foot of $300, opposed to January of $289. Not too much different, but our average sale prices was $262 to $264, and contributing to our last month's top sale price was $640. And the median price was $250, almost dead on with the previous month. So, and of the units that sold, they were the smaller group that sold because in January they were a little bit higher square footage, and the prices also, of course, that contributed to bringing the price per square foot up a little bit, like $10 a square foot. And also for both the median price and the average price, and of course the sales time was cut in half here, almost. So when we compare to last year, though, we think we've got a little bit less sales, 38 sales for February as opposed to 49 this year. And when you think about the average price per square foot, we've got $269 last year as opposed to our $300 this year in the same month, and the median was $265. So prices are definitely up from last year. And our average sale price last year was $236 out of the 38 sales that we had. So, and these were 47 days on market. Now, when you look at this market from a supply point of view, you'll see that we have 71 active listings on the market. So a little bit about around a month and a half supply, and 300 was our average sale price, and our current listings are sitting at $325. Of course, these asking prices are right around $306. The success was $270, so that was where most people were buying, and the median price was $269, which is not so far off the median price of last month. So it looks like that there'll be a fair amount of sales, and the sellers. I know the sellers want to increase their prices when they see the market go up, but here it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that not too far. The next report will be the inner city market. Now, moving on to this inner city where things are a lot different, you'll see that we had 223 sold listings, and it's a lot different because our high sale was $1.775 million and sold for $786 a square foot. Our average square footage for what sold was $925 last month, and when you think about it, that's very close to last month, which was $907. But again, the prices are, when you're looking at 397.48 square foot last month as opposed to 400 this month as an average, it's fairly close. And you might think that that this high sale would have made a big effect on the market last month. It did make an effect on the average, probably boosted the average by about $10,000 on the average sale, that we had this big sale in February that boosted our average price. But oftentimes that doesn't boost the average price per square foot very much, because oftentimes they'll sell for less. This one actually sold for $786 a square foot, so it probably did boost the average a little bit because it sold for such a high square footage price. Now, when you look at the days on market, downtown condos sold for in 35 days, and in January they sold in 39 days. Now let's compare this to last year when we sold 185 listings, and our top sale was $1.17 million in February, and our average sale price downtown was $316, and we had a $342 price per square foot. So condominiums definitely selling for more money downtown. But let's look at what's available today and see where our supply is. We're at 400. We've got about a 2-month supply of active listings on the market. And when you think about the average price per square foot at $452, and the buyers are at, looking at properties listed at $408, this is quite a bit higher than that. Now, when we think about the median where most people are buying, most people were looking at properties that were priced at 400, and those median price now that's on there where most of the condos sit is about 430. So we're still going to see a fair amount of sales in the next month. Always these higher end properties. I mean, of course, this here $7-8 million condominium priced at $1,500 per square foot is also going to increase our average. So I would suggest without that property in there, our market average for list prices would probably be, even for square footage prices, would be quite a bit less. So it's probably in line with where the sales are. So the sales in downtown will continue to be strong.
Realize that the market news I've just given you is based on the whole market. There's a whole other study we can do on the area that you're looking to buy or sell in. Your area may not move according to the whole market, and realize that average sale prices don't mean that a specific home would go up that percentage based on the whole market. Average sale prices sometimes mean that people are buying more expensive homes. Back when I started selling real estate, over 90% of the homes I sold were expired listings or homes that other agents couldn't sell. During that time, I learned from my clients the many frustrations that they had selling their homes.
Yeah, we had the home about, twice with some other agencies, and they couldn't sell the house. We don't know why. It's a beautiful house.
There was not any interest shown at all in our home by anybody that came and viewed it.
Too many of the other MLS realtors who'd come to show the house, they wouldn't have a clue.
We didn't get any feedback on our showing.
Last time our house was in the market about 3 months, and we've never got any offers.
It's for these reasons I have a very detailed approach on the way I sell my clients' homes. But here's what my clients had to say.
So we tried to put our townhouse up for sale October of last year, and it just wasn't selling, you could say. We had some show homes in the beginning of October, and a lot of people came, but no one really made a really decent offer, and we weren't getting any feedback. After the last 2 months, about November and December, we had no showings, no one was coming, and we weren't really hearing from our real estate agent anymore. So come January, a friend of the family told us about Trent and how that he had helped them sell their house, and
Don't forget how we got that in the mail.
And how we got in the mail a pamphlet that said, guaranteed we can sell your home. In which case, we both decided we'd call Trent.
And give Trent a call. And Trent came in the very first day that he came to see us, and he said, well, let's look at the market. Let's see where we're sitting at in the market, and let's make a plan of how we're going to put this up so that it's more appealing than everything else in the market, in that kind of zone that people are looking for houses, in that price range, in that category, being a townhouse. And basically what ended up happening was, as soon as the house went up, exactly what we had predicted with Trent was going to happen happened. And in a very, very short period of time,
I think it was like 1 day.
I think it was 1 day.
Yeah.
We had an offer the first day and took it. Trent gave us extremely knowledgeable advice on how to deal with the initial lower offer, and it resulted in us maintaining a lot more of our value in our house.
One of the things that I noticed was really nice about how our house sold was that there was a video that was taken for YouTube, and when we went to go see it, we fell in love with our home again, not to lie. It put our home in a light where you wanted to live in it. It talked about, the great things that we loved about our home when we first walked in. Just 2 blocks down, there's another house for sale that didn't have that quality of videoing, and it didn't show the aspects of the home which we fell in love with, which we found that other people did. And watching the video, you realize that we boosted so much more of our traffic coming into the house. People who were looking at it, they already were interested before they even showed up. And right away, just from the first day, we had 3 or 4 people walk through that all wanted to make offers. And assuming if we wanted to stay on the market longer, we could have easily sold the house 5-6 times over.
Well, I think what the commercial does versus just having an MLS listing with pictures and then someone has to call and then come and see it is it takes the same thing that companies do, but he does it for you on an individual basis. companies, when they want to sell something, you see it on the commercial while you're watching the NHL playoffs or something, and you go, this is awesome, I want it. And that's exactly what his commercial does. You see it and boom, you want it.
We had our home listed for 4 months in the fall, and it just didn't sell. We had a little interest at first, but then it just died down. After the new year, we got some information in the mail from Trent, and he was able to show us the advantages of video marketing, and he showed off our home to its best advantage. You know, it's not a show home, it's not a new home, but it's a comfortable home. And he was able to show that and get that information out to lots of people. And we had so many showings. We had, 1 or 2 showings a day. Some days we had so many showings we weren't even able to come home for meals. There was that much interest in our home. Another thing Trent was able to show us was that the market was actually good in November when we had our home listed before, and that was when there was no interest shown in ours. And there were homes selling in this neighborhood for actually less than what we got for ours just this past week. We sold it in about 4 weeks with Trent, and we're really excited to be, we got a price that we're happy with, and moving on.
This is just 2 examples, but in 13 years of marketing homes, I've got hundreds of examples of turnaround situations. High and low-end homes, fixer-uppers, show homes. I've marketed a home just like yours. So call me today for a low-pressure interview to discuss the sale of your home.